Hey guys, it's Alex from and welcome to the only place you need to become a master at music production. In today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to produce music without knowing any music theory at all, or without any musical background at all. I've taught thousands of my students how to produce music who have had no music theory knowledge or no musical background at all, how to make music, including a student this year who was able to go from absolute noob with no musical background at all or music theory to signed tracks on Spotify, collecting royalties literally every day from streams in just 3 months. He was able to achieve that in 3 months, and he even got paid up front for that track from the label who wanted to promote that track for him. So that just goes to show that anything's possible. If you're considering getting into music, or if you're still a beginner and you're worried about your lack of knowledge for music theory, you don't need it to make music. Music isn't all music theory. It has something to do with it, but it's not going to make or break you, and you kind of just pick up music theory as you go anyway. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So the easiest way to make music without music theory or any music theory knowledge is just to stick to all the white keys on the keyboard or all the black keys on the keyboard. If you stick to all the black keys, there's only 5 keys that you have to navigate yourself around. If you stick to all the white keys, there's more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys you have to stick to. If you go with the black keys, your music's gonna sound a little bit more mediocre, not so emotionally driven. You're gonna have to stick to something that isn't as melodic because it's just really hard to make something interesting with just the black keys. However, if you stick to just the white keys, you can make anything you want because all the white keys are either C major or A minor, 2 very popular scales for pop, hip-hop, and electronic music. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to stick to all the white keys, and I'm going to teach you a method that I teach to all my students in the EDM bootcamp of mine that's available on my website, alexrumsound.com. So I know you're thinking, there's a million white keys on this keyboard. How do you make a nice chord set or a melody when you have no idea which keys to use? There's too many. Well, watch this. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to go to our middle C, or C3. So every keyboard has that C key that is directly in the middle of the keyboard, and we're going to make 4 notes as our guide notes that are the length of 4 bars in total. So each note is 1 bar in length, and you get 4 notes that are 1 bar each. The next thing we have to do is we have to try harmonizing with our guide note. And the easiest way to harmonize with our guide note is to pick any of the notes in the same octave and try to harmonize with this guide note. So what I like to do is I like to skip this white key, and then I like to harmonize with these 3 white keys right here. So each of these notes are going to get 1 of these 3 notes under each of them. So watch how easy this is. I'm just going to put a note here on that white key, a note here on that white key, and then this key, and we're just gonna pick either of these 3 will work for our 4th note. Now watch this. We already have half a chord now because this will sound good. Keep in mind, we're limited to only the white keys. We cannot use any black keys, so that's going to make things really easy. Now, we have to start building the chord. Chords have a minimum of 3 notes playing at once. Our chords only have 2 notes playing at once, so we got to set them up so that we can have 3 playing at once. Now, we don't have any music theory knowledge, but I'm telling you, making chords is easy. It's just simple math. We have to make these notes 5 steps apart. So what I'm going to do is eliminate that for a sec. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that these notes are each 5 steps apart, including this bottom note. We're going to count 4 notes up from each of these notes, and then we're going to put our top note, and that will be almost a chord. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that math will always work. We're always going to be on the white keys. Can't use any black keys. Now is the easiest part. I used to think it was the hardest because there's no math that can help you with the hardest. Instead, it's personal judgment. We need a note that's going to be in between each of these notes here. So if you notice, directly in between these notes, we can't actually get directly in between these notes. We can either use this note that's closer to the bottom note, or this note that's closer to the top note. Which one do we take? Well, this note's a black note, so we can't use that one, so I guess we have to use this one. Again, we're stuck in the same dilemma. We can either use this note that's closer to the top note, or this note that's closer to the bottom, but the bottom one's a black note, so we can't use that one. So I'm going to use this one and this one because they're both white keys. And look at that. You have chords. Like that. That's it. You have your set of chords. And watch this. You don't know music theory, but now your chord progression works in any key signature you want it to. Or we could come down to key signatures. Look at that. We're using all black keys and white keys now, and our chords still sound good. That is because if you become a master at all the white keys, you will automatically know all the other key signatures if you just know how to start using the white keys. So you can build any chord or melody in the white key, and then if you don't like how it sounds, if you don't like the mood, then you can switch that to a different key signature without actually building in that key signature. Isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty awesome. So here's how songs are written. We have chords that are in the middle octave, which is going to be around C3. It's not exactly C3 all the time, but it's around the middle octave. So we're going to call it around C3. And then you have a melody that's going to be in an upper octave, or a lead melody, or a top line melody. And then you have your bass line, which is going to be a lower octave, that deep, low-pitched bass. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a melody. But we don't know music theory, but we do know that we have to stick with the white keys. And that's it. So what do I do when I know I have to stick to the white keys but I don't know music theory? Give yourself a guide note. And my guide notes are always going to be on C, because that's the easiest way to make a melody in A minor. Why? I don't know. Why don't we use A? Well, we could use A, but C is just the way I found to be easiest. Now with melodies, instead of 4 notes like this, like we did for the chords, we're going to make these a little bit more, like a little bit shorter, because melodies kind of dance and prance over the chords. So watch this. Like that. Isn't there an Alan Walker song that kind of sounds like that? Do 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 do. Maybe it's a Kygo song. Now we got our guide notes for our melody, and all we got to do now is move the notes around on different white keys and see what it sounds like. Watch. This is like, there's no like skill you need to actually move notes around and see if they sound good. It's either you move them around and they sound bad, or you move them around and they sound good. And I already know I can't use the black keys, so we're not even going to step out of key. There's no way, because you know that you can't use any of the black keys. So watch this. And watch this. I'm going to just take this and duplicate it. Melodies are set up in patterns, just like poetry and hip hop. The way melodies are set up are in patterns of like A, B, A, B, A, A, B, A, B, A, C, and different patterns like that. It's just like what we learned in poetry, if you learned poetry. But this melody has a pattern of A, B, A, B, just like that. And to give you an idea of like what that means, just to clarify if you don't know what that means that our A pattern is the same in both A parts. So we have an A part of our pattern here and an A here, and they're exactly the same. Our B is exactly the same here and here too. So that's our melody. Now let's go ahead and make an A, B, A, C pattern. How do we do that? Well, all we got to do is change this part to make it its own thing. Just like that, and you got a beautiful little melody. So watch this. We could do this all day long. We could pick whatever white keys we want all day long, because we're never going to step out of key, and worst case scenario, we get a different melody, and it might sound cool, and it might not. So watch this. I'm going to break this one down into two. And all I have to do when making a melody is make it like half the length and then duplicate it, and then we can change something back here just to make it interesting, and then boom, you got a new melody. So let's recap. What is this? An AAAB, ABAB, or ABAC? Well, it's going to be an A, and then here's another A right here. So it's got to be A blank, A blank. Looks like it's going to be A, B, A, and this one's completely different than both of those, so C. So we have an A, B, A, C melody. So now we need a nice bass line, and watch this. This is where making music just gets so easy it hurts. Our bass line's already made. It's the bottom notes of the chords right here. So I'm just going to copy those, paste, whoops, drag them down. We can paste them here or way down here, depending on how deep of a bass we want. And then we go. We have our bass down in some low octave. We have our chords down in some mid octave. It doesn't have to be this one, it could be the lower one. Like that. And then we got our top line melody that could be some higher octave above the chords and above the bass line. So now what? That doesn't sound interesting. It just sounds like a cheap piano making some sort of melody and blah. Well, let's go ahead and start producing music. The music theory part is done. You've made it. You've made it this far. So now what you do is you do the most fun thing in the world, which is sound selection. And you use sound banks, we call them, to make sound selection possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a synthesizer that's built into Logic here, because I'm going to try super hard not to use any of my expensive third-party plugins, because I know if you're watching this video, you're probably a beginner, and you probably don't have a lot of plugins. So I'm just going to use free plugins for this. So let's go ahead and take Airy Synth Lead. I hope it sounds good. And I'm going to take my top line melody, and when you're making a song, you have to start getting organized because you're going to accumulate a lot of layers that will make up a song. Synth lead. Whoop. Synth lead. Boom, we got a synth lead, and let's go ahead and add reverb on it and make it really, really spacey and big, yeah? Just like that. Now we got this big, beautiful synth lead. Well, it's kind of beautiful, but whatever. And the chords. Let's go ahead and take these chords and copy them and paste them down here. I'm just going to mute that again. And then this one has to be a synth too, because we're making an electronic song and everything has to be electronic. We could use a piano, but I don't like that piano. It's kind of cheap, and this is just more fun. Let's go ahead and find a really cool plucked sound that will give us a really cool, fun electronic sound to mess around with. Let's take these now, our chords. The chords are fine, but we could totally add some rhythm to them and make them really nice. Just like that. Look, same chords, different rhythm. Electronic music's all about that funkiness and that rhythm. So that's all we're doing. Boom! Doesn't that sound awesome? We still gotta make the bass line, and then we're gonna make a little drum loop too. It's gonna be really nice. Alright guys, and now we're gonna take our bass line and make a really big sub bass 808 line. Like a boom, 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 boom. Something really nice. So I'm gonna take our notes here. Actually, I'm gonna take the new notes from our old chords. That's what's cool about bass. It's like you make it based on your chords, and if you make it based on your chord notes, something cool will come out like most of the time. So I'm gonna take these notes, because that's not part of what we're trying to do here. And I'm just gonna take these down into a nice bass octave, and we can get started on our bass notes. So we need a nice boom, 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 boom. Nice big 808. So I'm gonna come into our Logic stock plugin here. Pick our 808 preset here. Ooh, listen to that. Now this one, let's make this funky. Let's just take up those notes, pick them up. Because music's all about having fun. There's no rules. Okay, we're gonna give us some drums. So to get drums, every producer in the world is using a service called Splice. Splice.com, and what you do is you download Splice, and it gives you access to as many drums as you would like. So all you have to do is you got to pick certain pieces of the drum kit that you're trying to lay down. And you just drag it on in. So we're going to grab our nice housey kick here. We're going to step to the grid so that everything is as on grid as possible. And we're going to grab a little clap. We're going to use a Lex Luger clap, even though we're making a house beat right now. Lex Luger is a hip hop producer. Doesn't matter, like I said, we're not following rules, we're just enjoying ourselves. Nice, okay, so let's go ahead and grab a hi-hat. So I have nice hi-hat loops here, and I'm lazy, I don't feel like making hi-hat loops from scratch, so I pretty much just find nice hi-hat loops and I download them. And then one last thing I'm gonna do is add some bounce to all this stuff, doing what we call side chaining. Now, if you're not into music yet, you're just a beginner, side chaining is one of the biggest terms you'll make friends with as a producer. You might not have ever heard of it, but it's going to be a big part of your life if you become a producer. Now listen to the difference with side chaining and without. So here's without side chaining. Here's with side chaining. See how it kind of like bumps? Well, that's the point of it. It makes everything bump. This is how you make electronic music without knowing any music theory. Alright guys, I hope you took some value from this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Give me your best comments in the comment section of this video. I love you. See you later.